little tight. Thank you. You're doing a great job. Do we have to pay you for that? One more? Yep. 1, 2, 3. All right. Everybody else is good? You're not good? Okay. Well, we cannot start until you're good. Y'all make sure to remember how nice and friendly I'm being to y'all, right? We'll tighten in. I think they're trying to get you a little tight. I shower, don't you worry. We'll be fine. 1, 2. You got it? You good? All right. We ready? Everyone's good. All right. Well, good morning. Welcome to week 3 of our transition. Again, we want to thank the people of the state of Louisiana for giving us the honor to be able to serve them starting on January the 8th. And again, I know that there is still remains a lot of excitement out there, and a lot of people are eager for us to get going. I would also remind you that there's still an election to be had. Early voting is going on right now through this coming Friday, and then, of course, Election Day is November the 18th. But I also want to continue to emphasize that we still have time, because remember, we could be still in a runoff, and we would not be even starting this process until after November 18th. And so, again, we're trying to take a very methodical process because we want to ensure that we get it right, and we want to make sure that we get as much information to the public as possible. So today, we're going to do 2 things, 2 major updates. We are going to announce the Commissioner of Administration and the Deputy Commissioner of Administration. And so a lot of folks out there may ask, well, why is this so critical? Why make this appointment and this announcement first? Well, first of all, I would venture to say that the Commissioner of Administration is probably one of the most important jobs in state government. It is an absolute critical position because the person that we appoint to be the commissioner, then the person who's the deputy commissioner, and then the people that they will appoint underneath them basically run the financial affairs of the state. So the commissioner is like the chief financial officer of the state. The administration is responsible for drafting an annual state budget. And so the commissioner presides over, in addition to drafting that budget and then the legislature passing that budget, they then preside over the spending of all of that money. So they are responsible for counting the pennies and the dollars in every state department of the state, every state agency on a day-to-day basis. So all of the spending is going to go through these gentlemen. And of course, it is through the Commissioner of Administration and his office that efficiencies, savings, and the streamlining of government can happen because they see it at 50,000 feet. And so this is where protecting the taxpayer starts. And that's why we wanted to start here. The division also oversees the Office of Risk Management. It supervises the maintenance of state buildings and lands, procures federal grants, and administers state work hours, amongst many other vital tasks. So, today, I'm going to announce the new Commissioner of Administration, who will be Taylor Barra. Taylor is currently serving as the assessor in Iberia Parish. But prior to his election to assessor, many of you in the press would recognize him because he served as the Speaker of the Louisiana House from 2016 to 2020. This is important because having a former Speaker of the House who is willing to serve under our administration, I believe, is very important because he knows state government and he knows the budget process inside and out. Because remember, HB 1 starts in the House, so all appropriations start in the House. So he will be an incredible asset not only to us, but I believe he'll be an asset to the legislature as well as we work through the appropriation process. In addition, Taylor has over 40 years of experience in the banking sector, which is also important because he plays a vital role with the treasurer on the bond commission. During his time in the Louisiana legislature, he was also a member of the Ways and Means Committee, and authored many key pieces of legislation that were directed towards fiscal reform and improved tax policy. Next, I would like to announce that Patrick Goldsmith will be the Deputy Commissioner of Administration. And quite frankly, I think that this is an unbelievable, unique team because Patrick served a 28-year career in the Louisiana legislature, and most recently served as the Chief Financial Officer and then the Chief Administrative Officer for Ascension Parish. So when he left the legislature, he went over and worked in local government and cleaned the books up there. He spent 19 years with the legislative auditor as a performance auditor and 9 years as the fiscal director for the Louisiana House of Representatives. Prior to working for the House, he was the director of performance and auditing and actuarial services for the Louisiana Legislative Auditor's Office as well. And so placing someone with his experience and understanding how the budget is built and writing the budget next to someone like Taylor, who's had to usher that budget process through the legislature, I think is an unbelievable winning team. And I have no doubt that these two men will be able to find efficiencies and savings in our government so that we can streamline the government so that it can better serve the taxpayers. These two men are going to be tasked with ensuring that the state is fiscally responsible and responsive to our citizens. And so, again, I think that this is why we chose to announce them first, because, again, they got to get to work, too, because the budget has to be put together and before the legislature soon. 90 days. And so, again, I want to thank you all for coming, and certainly we'll open it up to a few questions.
So, Speaker, Commissioner, I should say now, I understand why the governor sought you. I'm not quite sure why you would leave as an assessor, making a lot of money, probably be reelected for as long as you wanted to take on this, what is going to be a really hard job. What's your motivation? You know,
Greg, I was going to let him take the mic, but I don't know if I want to do that. But no, hold on, I'll let you go ahead.
The toughest part of that decision, and for those of you that know, 25 years ago, the predecessor in the assessor's office that led 2 times before I got there was my father. So a little emotional decision when I made the decision to join Jeff's team. But for those of you that have gotten to know the governor-elect, you know, passion is probably an understatement, and the passion that he has for Louisiana is infectious. And you know, it was tough when you're term limited, especially when you're term limited after 4 years of being speaker, to walk away from state government cold turkey when you feel like there's still a lot left to do. That was the attractiveness to me, and when I had been talking with Jeff, I picked on him and said, you know, you need to go get elected first. So the Sunday after the election, he called me and said, okay, I did my part. Now you and I need to talk. So here we are. Great question, Greg. Looking forward to it. I leave my assessor's office back in Iberia Parish in good hands. And I feel like I can certainly help Iberia Parish and the state of Louisiana in this role, maybe a little more than I could as the assessor. But a tough decision, but good question.
Governor-elect, this appointment kind of continued the tradition of having lawmakers, and in some recent cases, the House speakers lead the division. What are the advantages of having a kind of an experienced lawmaker atop the division of administration?
Look, it's a great question, because when we first started discussing this position with the transition committee, of course, the stakeholders that we have inside of that transition committee are a lot of business folks, and they're like, well, if we're going to get a CFO, shouldn't we do like a national search? Here's what I will tell you. If you don't understand the workings of the legislature and the budget process, which I will tell you is most likely overcomplicated, okay? You haven't been exposed to that environment, it will literally eat you, okay? And so I think that one of the reasons that you see that, you see governors lean on legislators who have been there, and certainly in leadership positions like Taylor, is because of that. I also believe, though, the uniqueness of this situation gives us both someone who's been elected, had to be responsive to constituents, and knows how to count votes, with someone who continued to have to take the calls of legislators in either trying to put money into the appropriations process or take it out. So I think that this gives us a great advantage in doing some of the things that we promised, right? Because in order for us to continue to focus on the three things that we promised the people of the state, which are crime, education, and economy, we are going to have to streamline this government. This government is going to have to operate in the 21st century. And when you look at the structure and you look at the budget, I think that we can do a better job. We can be better stewards of taxpayer money. And I can think of no two people who I would want to embark upon that process more than with these two gentlemen.
Governor, this last year, it seemed there was three budgets in a way, what the governor proposed, what the House proposed, and what the Senate proposed, and there was some fighting around that. So can you talk about how you plan to unite the chambers to get a solid budget passed, and if Mr. Vara maybe could share his experience as Speaker dealing with that as well?
Yeah, look, I think it's a great question. I'll turn it over to Taylor. These two men are the reason that I chose them, is to in hopes of being able to smoothen out the budget process. Look, I believe that this legislature that is going to be seated, if you look at the composite of it right now, if you look at the new members that have been elected and those that potentially are going to be elected on November 18th, because Election Day is November 18th coming up, that those legislators, I believe, share the same vision of trying to streamline the government and making sure that we're bringing the necessary services to the taxpayers with the least burden on them.
Yeah, and what I'll add to that, of course, the substance of the budget being the most important, but I think as you work through the Finance Committee on the Senate side and the Appropriations Committee on the House side, getting to those members, a lot of which will be new-termed members, with this first executive budget, I think there will be a good bit of opportunity for us to do some pre-education as to what will be in that executive budget for their benefit. That helps with understanding the budget. It is, 20 sections that are amazingly in-depth, and it's overwhelming to some of that legislative team, even if you're an experienced legislator and first time on the Appropriations Committee. That can be as well. So I think transparency in the budget is key. There's no reason for us not to be able to explain everything that's in there and why. I think once you do that and the legislators have a good understanding of that, it certainly makes the process. Can't take 100% of the politics out, but they'll have a transparent budget in front of them, no doubt.
Yes, ma'am.
Piper Hutchinson, Louisiana Illuminator. Governor-elect Landry, you have to turn around your executive budget proposal pretty quickly. Can you tell us a little bit about what your key priorities are going to be in that proposal?
Yeah, well, look, I think you're right, and that's why We got him, him, because they know how to turn that budget around. You know, the great thing, look, again, if you go back through Patrick's experience in his bio, he could probably turn this budget around at night in his dreams, okay, because he has lived it and breathed it. I think that when I want to first give them an opportunity to go through that budget, and then we'll be visiting with them, and then we'll set those priorities. So that question is probably a bit premature, but we hope to answer it in the near future once both of these gentlemen have an opportunity to get their footing. Okay.
Yes, so I remember last week, you were saying that you feel like New Orleans could be run a little bit better, and you were saying that you think it should be ran like Nashville. So after saying that, do you plan to speak with Mayor Cantrell and city council members about how the state could help the city?
Absolutely. Look, I've spoken to, I know for sure one city council member already. We are still in the transition phase. I've got a transition committee solely focused on trying to identify concerns and impediments that keep the city of New Orleans from looking like Nashville or Charleston, maybe not running like them, but again, it's all about appearances and the way that that city functions. So I want to let that committee do its business, and then we'll be visiting with those leaders. I think that it's probably a bit premature for us to visit with them yet, but we are working on a plan. Look, I like to go visit with someone, like the mayor or any of those city council members, when I have a solution to the problems as we see it. I don't know anyone, including them, that believes that the city of New Orleans is being run like an absolute professional football team. Okay? I mean, we know based upon the statistics that the city has some major problems. We want to be able to identify those problems because you can't come up or offer solutions until you've accurately identified the problem. So we intend to work with them and anyone else who wants to help us fix the city of New Orleans and the state of Louisiana. So I appreciate it. Thank you for your time. And I'm guessing we'll see y'all next week.